Hey everybody, it's me, Little Blandco. But am I a little bit too little to be a good D&D miniature? I guess we'll find out.
Today we take a look at miniatures from Time of Legends, Joan of Arc. Now there are 235 miniatures in this set, and I bought it on sale for $22. And you would expect, oh my god, what a steal. However, these miniatures are very small scale, 15 millimeter scale. Now that would be in comparison to D&D miniatures, which are from 25 millimeter up to 30 millimeter, with most of them hovering around the 28 millimeter heroic style scale. So the vast majority of these miniatures are simply going to be too small. However, I did think of some interesting uses for the small skeletons, maybe the small wolves, and some of the other little guys in this set. But the big thing that I gambled this $22 on was the trees. The trees are nice and big, still nice for 28 millimeter, and dang it all, they look nice and plasticky and fun to paint. So join me as I take a look at some of my favorite miniatures from this set, and we'll see. So obviously, the trees. You get an assortment of trees with this. That very well, for some people who really like the look of these trees, that might justify the purchase in itself, because you get the trees and you get the bushes. And there are certain miniatures which are supposed to be in larger scale. You know, the unicorn, for example, might be just a shrimpy unicorn. Or this little wagon might be just a little push wagon instead of an ox-drawn wagon. It still looks really good. The detail on these 15 millimeter miniatures is astounding. And there's a better look at that little unicorn there. Certainly could be a younger unicorn or just maybe a smaller unicorn. Looks pretty good, frankly. And the little skeletons. I had an idea for a dungeon trap filled with tiny little skeletons. And boy, I think these guys are going to foot the bill quite nicely. Happy enough to pick these up. Point in the favor. These little guys here, these might make good like dogs, but not big enough for wolves. This little section of terrain is too small, but you know what? With a little bit of care and painting, I think these would all make little good bits of terrain for cover on the table. And of course, the French version of the Tarrasque. These miniatures, when you get them in the big scale, they're still large scale for D&D, and this thing, boy, this thing looks really detailed, nice. Obviously, there's some little mold line issues, which are minimal, but overall, this guy would make an amazing miniature. The buildings, sadly, maybe some of the most detailed miniatures in here. They look amazing, but they're just a little bit too small. I thought maybe these could be halfling buildings. But even if you put halflings next to them, they're still comically small. You might want to use them for tokens on a map to represent villages or something like that. You know, I thought too that if you bought this set and you wanted to do some sort of warfare scene in your game to sort of have like an in-between little warfare thing, like as a quick interlude, they would be fun to have like all these little hundreds of miniatures that you could use for something like that. You know, back in the day, there was a war game element still in D&D where you could have these massive battles. So, yeah. And, of course, if you're one of the collectors that still uses the 15 millimeter miniatures, I mean, this is a no-brainer for you guys because, holy crap, like, this would be useful just for the terrain bits alone. Not to mention 235 miniatures. That is bonkers. But, yeah, an excellent deal for terrain. I think I'm going to get my $22 worth out of it. I'm going to get the rest, and I'm going to sell the rest to people who are going to probably make better use of it. The angels, too small. Everything else, too small. But I'm going to keep some of the skeletons, and the wolves, and the trains, and definitely those trees and bushes, and the little carts are going to definitely be a keeper. And yeah, and we'll see what happens with those miniature skeletons. So I hope that answers the question. Even if it's a good deal, would I suggest that most people buy this? Even at the price of like $22, because it has gone down. I would suggest you take a closer look at the Reliquary box, which is the box that I went over in a previous video. I'll showcase that. But that had the Beast miniature in it. It had a lot more large miniatures, which I think is definitely more worth your time. I mean, just for the Cockatrice miniature in that set, not to mention the Beast miniature. I mean, dang, those are some very nice miniatures, and I think that is definitely, that's a better use of your money if you're going to consider buying one of these sets on sale. That's the Joan of Arc Reliquary set, which is a different set than this set, which is the core box set. But again, if you're like me and you just like the looks of those trees and you need a lot of trees for a certain scene, then, boy, you can't beat the prices that these sort of sets go down to. And of course, I can't really use this as a board game because my French is not up to snuff, and this was the French version of the game. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. I think that this 15mm stuff, there's still people that make 15mm stuff out there. It just seems way too small unless you want like this massive table, because I think that was the point of this game, just to have a table filled with a massive army on both sides where you could really get the scale and scope. And I think that's why they went with 15mm. But man, these miniatures are well sculpted, so again, I hope this video was somewhat helpful for people who were considering if you wanted to buy.
Oh, hey, Kringle! Ah!
It was meant to be. It was meant to be.